Federal Judge Boasberg here in Washington, D.C., is the judge who's been ordering the administration to have these MS-13 gang members not be flown down to the prison in El Salvador. A few weeks ago, he ordered the government to have these planes turn around in midair and come back to the United States to have these members of this gang to have a hearing to see whether they should be deported. Now, the thing is that that was appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court did not reverse the position of the Trump administration. In other words, what the Supreme Court did is, in fact, said, "Hey, Judge Boasberg, you don't really have any jurisdiction here because the five plaintiffs in the suit before you are in a facility in Texas. And under U.S. law, those kinds of complaints by those five people have to be filed what's called a habeas corpus petition. And under our law, those petitions have to be filed in the state where they're held, namely Texas. So Judge Boasberg did not have the authority to continue that case. But nevertheless, he said, now, wait a minute. Yeah, I don't have authority to continue this case, but I'm now going to hold in contempt of court those in the administration who disobeyed my order of not ordering the plane to turn around. And you go, well, wait a minute. You don't even have any authority here to begin with. And in his 46-page opinion that he issued the other day, he said, well, not so fast. There is a precedent case law that says even if the underlying opinion and ruling is illegal, you still have to have obeyed my order at the time that I made it. And you guys didn't do that. So I'm now going to have a hearing to see who actually disobeyed my order. And what he planned to do is he said, I find that there's probable cause that I'm going to hold somebody in criminal contempt of court. Now, what does that mean? That means that he will have to identify who the person was that did not order the plane to turn around. And then he has to refer that criminal contempt to the Justice Department to criminally prosecute that person. Well, who's the head of the Justice Department? Pam Bondi. She's not going to prosecute that person. So what does Boasberg do then? Well, the rules say if the Justice Department don't prosecute the person you want to hold in criminal contempt, you, judge, can hire a special counsel, a private attorney, to do the prosecution for you. So there were a few steps away from that. I think that this case will not go forward with that criminal prosecution. But even if it did, I don't think that person will be found guilty by a jury because the order is not clear in terms of what the judge actually ordered in terms of whether the planes have to be turned around, whether the planes were already outside the jurisdiction of the United States. It wasn't that clear. But even if they convict them, what's the bottom line? President Trump issues a pardon and says, I hereby pardon you because the criminal contempt is a federal offense. In fact, I think that President Trump should give what's called a preemptive pardon and say anybody who was involved in the transporting of these MS-13 gang members down to El Salvador are hereby pardoned, and that will basically stop any further action of Judge Boasberg. So to sum up, I don't think he has the authority in the first place to continue with this contempt proceeding. But even if he did, I don't think the person will be prosecuted and convicted, rather. And even if they are, the end game is President Trump will issue him a pardon.
Do you have a question for KAMENAR? Just drop it in the comments and keep an eye out for Paul's answer right here.
To learn more about the NLPC's mission to investigate and expose government and corporate corruption, please visit nlpc.org.